So I'm Wanda Stewart, and I am a native Philadelphian. I was born in the last week of 1959. So it makes me the very, very youngest of the baby boomers. And I was entirely a city girl. I grew up playing outside, not so much the concrete jungle. We played on concrete, but we had a good life and a safe life. At some point, I went to schools and I went away to college, and then decided that I just didn't want to do the city anymore, and found a way to move to Sedona, Arizona, which is a beautiful, beautiful place to live in. There were 12,000 people compared to Philadelphia's couple of million people, and you lived on the red earth with a bunch of new age folks who believed in living close to the land and one with nature. But it's hard to grow food in Arizona. The sun is your enemy. In Sedona, the dirt is wonderful, but it's not conducive to growing food. But I began to be aware that there were people trying to do that. Working at boarding schools is a lucky thing because you live on lots and lots of acreage. So I moved along to a boarding school that was on 3,500 acres of land. It was in the hills of Santa Barbara, very beautiful and lush. Literally, it was across the street from Michael Jackson and Neverland, and down the street from the Firestone Vineyards and the Chamberlain family, who had 10,000 acres and ran cattle. And their land was out in my front yard. It wasn't unusual for me to wake up and find a cow looking at me through my bedroom door. So I really was beginning to rough it. We were lucky to have a 12-acre organic farm. I learned how I had the luxury of being able to eat the food and not having to work to grow the food. I could literally send my little 5-year-old kids out and say, go get eggs for breakfast. And they'd go and harvest eggs or harvest strawberries or whatever we needed. And I could cook it. But I didn't have to grow it. But I got very accustomed to the difference in the taste between eggs from chickens and eggs that come from the supermarket. And the sweetness of organic strawberries that you pick yourself, and the white, pinkish strawberries you find in most supermarkets wrapped in plastic. So I lived in that environment for 4 years, really came to cherish it, and then moved to Berkeley, California with my boys. I got to Berkeley, was very happy to find extensive cultural diversity. It was a lovely compromise on my lives. It was a small city or a big town. I could easily get to places where we could walk in the woods and have trees and nature. It was a far cry from the sort of concrete jungle of Philly, but it wasn't the dirt roads of Los Olivos. And then I went to the farmer's market and was blown away by how much the food cost there. I'm a single mom. I had just moved to Berkeley. I was renting a house, but I was going to have to pay for that. Had a good job, was doing it. But the organic vegetables and the cost really blew my mind. That's when I learned that things are cheaper in Santa Barbara, and things are cheaper when you're buying from where it's grown. Many of the markets in Berkeley were farms that I recognized from Santa Barbara, and that's 4.5-5 hour drive. So I backed off of the farmers market's vegetables and the real chicken eggs that were $8 a dozen, and tried to go back to eating in a more standard way, and realized I couldn't do it. And then realized that I could start growing some stuff in my new little house with my new garden in it. Today, my home has grown into a legitimate urban farm. About 85% of the landscaping is edible. There are 20 different fruit sources. I do annual vegetables, 50 different medicinal plants. And then I've got chickens in the backyard. And because I've got chickens, that makes me a legit farm. It's called Obsidian Farm. And Obsidian Farm for me exists first to feed me, my family, and my friends. And then to nurture my people, black folks. I believe that if we know our past and really understand our past relationship to the land for all of its greatness and for all of its terrors, that we can really grow a better people and a better community. So my home is part special event site, part community center, and it's a farm. You can get some eggs there too. So that's my mission in terms of this urban ag piece. And now I've been lucky to be hired as the executive director of People's Grocery in West Oakland. So now I'm charged with being the executive director of this wonderful, highly held organization called People's Grocery. And it's not a grocery store. People's Grocery is a nonprofit organization that seeks to improve the health and the wealth of West Oakland and the surrounding communities through food and food systems work. That's a big umbrella. It includes growing food. It includes maintaining gardens to bring people into them to seek solace. It includes teaching people about nutrition, how they can make products, value-added products, from things that we can grow in the garden, how they can use food as medicine, but how we can also grow the food system by teaching people to make money in catering businesses and other venues like that. We also seek to do this work at a level that impacts city government, that seeks to act as a bridge between the people who need to benefit from such services to the organizations doing that, collaborating and building a bridge between organizations so that we can work to effectively impact West Oakland in particular. The original People's Grocery is a grocery store in Memphis, Tennessee, back in 1889, and it was owned collectively by 11 black men, well-to-do black men, who'd grown tired of the service and the quality of the products that the white local grocer provided in their neighborhood. It was a very successful venue. It really helped to stir racial tensions. The greater success it experienced, the more alienated and upset the white grocer became. Literally, there was a marble game between a little black boy and a little white boy that started a fight that then proceeded when the adults got involved. And in the end, 3 black men were lynched, drug out of jail, lynched in front of thousands of people with reporters informed and ready there to write the story. And when one of those 3 men was dying, he said, "Tell my people to go west. There is no justice for us here." And that spurred the migration of 6,000 people, black people, out of Memphis, Tennessee, and to the west, and we can presume California. That People's Grocery was also a place where the community could come to learn and grow together and have meetings and be active in healthy, well community. So that was interrupted. Actually, that land and that space was sold to the white grocer for quite less than its market value. And all these people came to California. So the founders of the People's Grocery in Oakland, California, wanted to mirror that. They wanted to come into West Oakland, help people get quality food, help people grow quality food, and be a place where you can also grow community while you grow gardens. People's Grocery has now existed for 13 years and has been the place where people come for food. Originally, there was a mobile food truck where literally the organization would grow food, grow the produce, harvest it, fill a truck, and go around Oakland and sell from the back of this truck. They hired teenagers to do it. It was a wonderful way to feed the people, and not necessarily the most efficient way to do business. So now People's Grocery, in this moment, is focused on programs that will help people grow and learn, literally. When I took the job, I was looking through old archival materials, and I found a picture of a friend of mine, but it was like a baby picture of her. She was very, very young in it. I know her to be 30-something. And I went to her and I said, Nakia, I find your pictures in all of our brochures. What is that? And she said, I was the very first teenager that People's Grocery hired to do the food truck back in the day. And I think she's an example of what this organization can do and what this organization can be. The Nakia I know is a beautiful, young, rising black woman who does poetry, and lots of the spoken word and the poems that she writes are about food justice. She's the young woman I know has started an organization and a nonprofit for young girls and is mentoring them through the middle school and high school years as a way to give back and build her community. So I'm awed and amazed at who she's become, and to know that the seed of her was planted in People's Grocery just gives me a lot of hope for where I can help lead this organization. This organization has really impacted West Oakland. So we call West Oakland a food desert. And I knew that before I took the job at People's Grocery. I understood that there was no big supermarket in this space and in a neighborhood that actually comprises several different neighborhoods. But from 35th Street or 40th Street clear to the water at front, there's no supermarket. There aren't restaurants like you would expect. But I didn't know how much that it was really a food desert until I started working in the middle of that desert and realized when it came time for me to go and get lunch, if I hadn't bought it with me, I had no choice but to get in my car, to drive to downtown, to drive to Emeryville, which is at the other end of the neighborhood and beyond the border, to be able to get food, particularly if I didn't want to eat McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken, or some form of fried chicken, fried fish, and French fries. So in a real and personal way, I realized that I can't feed myself in the way in which I need to eat and maintain a healthy body. And there are thousands and thousands of my people in West Oakland who don't have the ability to do that either. And if you don't have a car, and if you don't have enough money, you're really not going to be able to eat much beyond the Doritos and the processed food that is offered by the corner stores, and most particularly the alcohol offered by the corner stores. So we at People's Grocery want to interrupt that situation. We want to grow food and get it in people's hands. We want to teach them how to cook that food in a way that doesn't kill them and condemn their children to obesity. We want to help people get businesses started and show them how you can make money without doing that corporate thing. We intend to make money with what we do here. We're going to sell worms. We're going to sell worm casings. We'll sell eggs and chicken fertilizer. We'll sell plant starts and produce. We'll grow fish. There's endless things that we can all do to work together to improve our own health and the wellness of our community. And People's Grocery is starting right here in West Oakland.